Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
How do we use media, technology, and media today for gospel outreach? Joining us again, Tom Kuster. He's director for Christ in Media Institute at Bethany Lutheran College. Tom, welcome back to the Coffee Hour.
Thanks for having me back again. It's a pleasure.
Well, it is that time again for the Gospel Outreach with Media online conference hosted by the Christ in Media Institute at Bethany Lutheran College. And this has become an annual event with a lot of opportunities for learning and growing. Tell us more about what is this conference, the Gospel Outreach with Media Conference.
Well, many of us have been to person-to-person conferences where you get in a plane or drive in a car a long distance and check into a motel and pay a registration fee and then try to choose among the various presentations that don't conflict with one another. Our conference does none of that because we're entirely online. And this is our 6th annual conference, and its purpose is to help people explore the many ways that technology and media can be used to reach out with the gospel.
And this conference was online before being on online conference was cool, wasn't it? This has been an online thing for a while.
Yes, we started this out back in 1996 and have been doing online conferences every fall since then, and hope we can continue to do that because there are always new ways for technology to be used to reach out with the gospel. There are old ways too. I know KFUO has been doing it for almost 100 years. But always new things are coming up and new necessities are presenting themselves, such as in this current health crisis. And so we're finding presenters who have been working with these things in a variety of media and a variety of technology. And we're asking them to come online to create a presentation. And then we put those into our conference and make them available for people to read for any time of the day and night because we're entirely online. You can go there now and read these presentations and then interact with the presenters with the online comment and question section. And that's open for 3 weeks from now until November 9th.
Has there been anything that has come up this year that's new and exciting because now everybody is doing all of these new things online and the push has been now for conferences and church services and all of these things to be online now. Has there been anything new that's come to this conference because of all of these things that people have been doing?
Yes. In fact, there's been a lot of creativity because of the reaction to the health crisis. As you mentioned, almost every congregation now is streaming services for their members. And some have found new ways of doing that more effectively and more efficiently. And we have a couple of presentations about enhancing worship streaming in our conference this year. Even in world missions, we have a report from one of our workers in Chile who had to readjust their in-person program, and they were able to do that by using technology and going online. That's a presentation in our conference this year. We have quite a few different technologies, I guess, that we're featuring this year, but some of them are a response to the health crisis, yes.
What have been some of the outcomes or the things that you've learned from the past Gospel Outreach with Media conferences?
Well, I can answer that on a couple of levels. One is the more obvious level of the participation we've had. The presentations have the comment and question features, and we have quite an active participation in those things, and we're happy to see that. We're especially happy to see that from students, high school and college students that get involved in our conference. You know, the young people are into their technology every day. And if by these conferences we can get our Christian young people to puzzle over how all of this can help them express their faith and possibly in the future use these technologies to reach out to people that they encounter with their gospel message. That's an important accomplishment, and we've seen a lot of activity from young people in our conference discussions. We've also seen some collaborations appear. People who hadn't known each other before meet each other in the conference. It happens in in-person conferences too, but it happens here in online conferences, and they decide to get together and work together on projects that may not have happened without meeting in this conference. That's one level. And the other level is the other answer to your question about what's resulted is who knows? Because over the past 5 years, our conferences have been visited from more than 200 countries. And our past conferences are archived and still available, although not open for discussion. But just this past week, our first conference from 5 years ago, which is archived, was visited from 8 different countries. And so we don't know how far the influence of these conferences is spreading.
What's the lineup for this year? What kinds of topics can people look forward to and learn more about?
Well, we have a variety of technologies that are featured. One of them is virtual reality, which is really coming into its own these days, I think. And we have a couple of presentations involving that. One is visiting Palestine at the time of Jesus in virtual reality. A presenter is talking about that. Another one is using virtual reality to train seminary students in preaching. They're preaching to a practice audience that's virtual in front of them. That's kind of an exciting application. We have a presentation into visual arts. That's old-fashioned, goes back millennia. But one of our presenters is talking about how images of Jesus appear in visual arts. Movies are addressed. We're thrilled to have Pastor Jake Wampfler, who is the co-host of the Faith and Film Festival at Concordia Seminary this past spring, and he's talking in our conference about finding Jesus in films. We have device inventors who have been prompted to get creative with their devices, for instance, for getting devotions into nursing homes when pastoral visits and personal visits are prohibited. Mobile devices are always big for outreach and Christian education. We have presentations on how they're being used in Latin America and in Africa. And one of my favorite presentations this year is about making a video conversation about the racial issues that have risen in importance lately. And so there are lots of, I should also mention honoring history. I think preserving the history of our churches and of our institutions is important. And we have a couple of presentations about how making the history of our churches accessible and maintaining a sense of history about where we've been in the past. That's a couple of presentations on that this year as well. So it's a wide variety of things.
That does span quite a broad spectrum of topics. I think what intrigues me most is the VR virtual reality in preacher training. That really caught my attention. I was just trying to picture that a seminarian using virtual reality to see that congregational response. That's fascinating. What a concept! Now I'm going to have to participate and go see what happens in that presentation, in that discussion.
As you know, speech giving is a very dreaded thing for many people, and of course it is for pastors too. Many of them get very nervous before preaching their sermons on Sunday morning. And this is a step, virtual reality becomes a practice step between talking to an empty room, which is your first step in practicing your sermon, and facing that real live audience. You're facing a virtual audience. And I'm told that, I haven't tried this myself, but I'm told that you can adjust the audience in terms of its attentiveness. You can have a very rapt audience if you need that. And you can have a distracted audience that's whispering to each other and maybe getting up to leave the room for one purpose or another, all in virtual reality. And you can even dial up a hostile audience if you want that. But I hope our pastors don't face that very often. But it might be fun to practice in front of one virtually.
That's how to prepare for a really tough sermon, huh?
Yeah, well, I got a hard sermon coming up. Yeah.
Well, Tom, how can we participate in this year's Gospel Outreach with Media Conference?
It's very easy, and as I often say, this is a conference you can attend in your pajamas if you want to, because it's available day and night for 3 weeks. All you do is go online to www.gowm.org. That's GOWM, which stands for Gospel Outreach with Media. Be careful, because sometimes computers spell correct, and they'll change GOWM to GOWN, and then you're at a site that'll sell you a prom dress. But if you want to join the Gospel Outreach Conference, go to GOWM.org, and it's free, and everyone is welcome.
And that's going on now until November 9th. You can participate in the learning and the discussions, GOWM.org. That's Gospel Outreach with Media. It's an online conference hosted by the Christ and Media Institute at Bethany Lutheran College. Tom, thank you so much for sharing all this with us. And now I'm intrigued. I want to go learn more about virtual reality and preacher training and all these other the great uses of technology. Thanks so much for being our guest on the Coffee Hour today and sharing this with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.